Welcome to the Collective Genius Podcast, the show for real estate investors who are looking to scale.
Welcome back to the Collective Genius Podcast, the podcast where real estate investors come to grow and scale their business. I am so happy to have our next guest, another CG member coming to us from Ohio. Please welcome in Mr. Ryan Berry. Welcome in, Ryan. How are you?
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
It's so nice to have you on because there's such a great journey here that I can't wait to tell your story. You know, I tell people, you know, when doing this podcast, it's the highlight of my week when I get to do a podcast because I get to learn our investors, our members at a higher level than I already do. And I feel like I know your story really, really well, but I want to share that story, but I also want to get a little bit deeper because I get to learn something new each and every time we do this pod. So why don't we do this? Why don't we start off with we know your name, Ryan Berry. We know you're in Ohio. Would you tell everyone the markets that you work and what your disciplines are within the real estate investing industry?
Sounds good. So I've been at this 12 years here in Akron, Canton, Ohio. We also go to Cleveland, and sometimes we'll get some stuff in Columbus. We're flipping a property in Columbus right now. So our exits are all of them. So we do buy and hold. We do fix and flips. I got 22 properties in inventory we're flipping right now. And then we do wholesale, novations, installment sales, you name it. So.
And you've been in the Collective Genius for how long?
Since the second select meeting, which I think was October of 21.
Second select meeting, it was May of 21.
Okay, so third. I was the third, I guess.
Okay, so third. So you're now at 4 years in.
Yep.
And very happy to report that you will be moving up the ranks, 4 different communities within the Collective Genius, and you are making that promotion journey like several others have throughout the years, and super excited for you, and I can't wait to tell people this story about you pre-joining CG and after. But congratulations. That says a lot about you as an investor. Says a lot about you as a human being, but you know, our whole goal is to help people grow into what they want to grow into. And here you are, you know, 4 years promoting to that next level, which puts you in a room with people that, you know, have been doing this business like you, usually 10 plus years and over $2 million of gross profit, and really getting to a point where you're no longer just a hustler in this space. You're actually a business owner, which is a massive, massive difference.
You're not wrong about that, man. It's hard to turn off the hustler switch and turn on the leadership switch, but we've done it. So
good. Congratulations. So before we get into B4CG and real estate investing, all of that, I want the audience to get to know you a little bit.
Okay.
Before all of the real estate investors, because most people that we have on the pod, you know, didn't grow up wanting to be a real estate investor.
Right.
What is it that, you know, when you were young, what is it that you saw yourself doing?
So my background is, I tell everybody this, it's so wild, like it doesn't make any sense. So I have an undergrad in accounting, believe it or not. I was a CPA for a while, and then I went into industry in accounting finance teams. I have an MBA in finance, and so was a controller at several companies, and then got bored to death with keeping the books. But it was a good foundation, you know, to be able to run a business and understand the numbers. So a lot of people are the other way. They don't understand the numbers, and they just keep, you know, churning. But our numbers are really dialed in. So then I got involved in this company. I did some international stuff, got involved in this company that was a direct marketing company. Started out as a controller there, moved up to like a director of finance, and then they moved me to VP of operations. And then I saw, when I was in finance in that company, I saw that they were, you know, the guys that were doing copywriting, which was all new to me, essentially writing the ads that would generate revenue. And we did a lot of different direct mail pieces, and what we used to do, like full page newspaper articles. Well, they're ads, but it looked like articles. They're called advertorial style.
Advertorial.
Yeah. So did a lot of advertorial stuff. And I saw these guys making what I was making in a year, in a month, and I was like, I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent nights and weekends figuring out a product, came up with my own product, wrote an ad. It was back when the gas prices were crazy, back in, gosh, I don't know, 2005, 2006, probably 20 years ago now. And my very first ad worked as a copywriter, and that almost never happens. And we ended up generating like $8 million in sales off of that. Because once you find an ad and that works in one newspaper, you just blast it out to all the other newspapers across the country, and it just scales really quick. So then went on to write up multiple other ads. You see this money behind me right here. That's uncut sheets of $1 bills, but we did uncut sheets of $2 bills and stuff. We've sold, I don't know, I think I've sold $35 million worth of that kind of stuff, believe it or not. And all in all, we end up, my time at the company for 8 years, I did probably somewhere about $110 to $120 million in sales for the company and as a copywriter.
Was this, and this was just an advertising, you said direct marketing. It was an advertising like agency, or you were actually doing the sales for these advertorials? You guys were doing both. You were doing the advertising and the business?
Right. Yeah, exactly. It was an interesting business because it was very entrepreneurial, and anybody could come up with a product idea, write an ad for it, and test it. And so that's what I did. But I had success at it. I had a knack for it, just understanding people and their, just the people dynamic, and being able to write ads that resonated with people and products that were smart products that help save people money or help them collect money or watch TV for free or a host of other things. But the company, the big claim to fame, I didn't write the first ad, but I wrote several other ones for it, was the Amish fireplace. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but
I'm familiar with it. Yes.
Yep.
They have television commercials every once in a while. I don't know if they still do, but I do remember seeing them.
Yeah. So that company went from basically zero to $300 million in 2 years.
Wow.
And from 150 employees to 1,500 employees in 2 years. It was insane. So, but on the backside of that, after 7 or 8 years of doing that, newspapers kind of dying down to some extent. Reader circulation's down, readership's down, and, digital started popping. So, company was struggling a little bit. It's a long story, but I just decided, I had 4 kids at the time, and at home. That was 13 years ago almost now that I started this business, 2013. And I just decided I want to take control of my own destiny. And I always liked real estate. Even when I was at the company, I was involved in, a couple deals here or there, rental properties, or fixing up my own house, or reading books, about real estate. So I just decided I'm going to put in my 2 weeks and hit the ground running here.
You didn't have, 13 years ago, you just said, I'm putting my 2 weeks in and I'm going to do real estate. You weren't doing it on the side?
I was very, very small, because that business and writing those ads and everything took up 70 hours a week, 80 hours a week. So I was like,
Sure.
not, didn't have the time. Plus I had the family, and I was attending baseball games and, trying to be a good dad.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just really jumped. There's some more to it I don't really want to get into here, but I just jumped into it and, try to figure it out, which didn't go so well my first year.
Well, let's talk about that. How did you jump in? What did you jump in doing? Were you trying to flip? Were you, back then, 13 years ago, wholesaling wasn't even a term. People may have been doing it, but it wasn't a term.
Yeah. So I didn't learn about wholesaling until about, half of those years in. Oh, you froze up on me. Gotcha. So very first deal I did, I went to a tax deed sale, found a property that I thought would have been pretty good shape. It had just sold for $90,000 or something. This was back in 2012. So got into a property at a tax deed sale. It was my first flip. I bought it for like 30, put 20 into it and sold it for 80 or something like that. I was like, okay, I can make some money doing this. But it was tough the first year. Just I knew marketing, but I didn't know sale. I mean, I was not a salesperson. I can sell, but I didn't know the process. I didn't understand what we're trying to do with this stuff. Like, you know, and I didn't have any contractors. It was just me. So the very first year, my wife is a registered nurse, so she went back to work full time when I jumped ship to do this. And man, that really saved us. But I learned, just grinded through, and second year in, I think we did, you know, about a deal or two a month.
So, I mean, a year and you get to a consistent deal a month, that's you know, that's better than most. When did you feel like this really started to gain momentum for you?
I think really, I mean, honestly, when I joined Collective Genius, like that's when all the light bulbs went off when I got in the rooms with the right people.
So, but I mean, we're talking 8 years into your career, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was doing 30 deals a year, roughly every year, just by myself. And maybe, I think I had an assistant that answered the phone, and that was it. So I would be running all over the place, and some of them we flipped. I did learn wholesaling. I got a property under contract, and I think I closed it. No, I had a guy that I met here locally. He's now one of my lenders and a good friend, but he was kind of in with Sean McCloskey and the whole Life and Air group. And
great guy.
He taught me short sales. And so we started doing some short sales. Because even in 12 or 13 when I started this, you know, some short sales were still going on. So I learned how to do short sales and bought several that way. Really good. You know, I was making really good. When it's just yourself and you make $40,000, it covers a lot. When you got 10 employees, it doesn't cover as much.
Right. Right. All right. So let's talk about that. You're 7, 8 years in, you're consistently doing, 2 to 3 deals a month at that point. You joined CG at our select level. We started that group, prior to Collective Genius Select Group. There was only one group. We started that up January 2021. Here you come October of 2021. Come in with 3 employees. You're doing about 35 deals a year. And to your words, you had no systems, processes, nothing repeatable for employees if you did hire more, right?
Right.
So what is it that, how long did it take to click? And what did you get that helped you get to the point where you are now?
I think, the first meeting, I mean, everybody talks about the CG slap, and you come in thinking, okay, I'm not doing too bad, a couple, 3 deals a month by myself with a couple people, that support people. And I was netting really good money. And I just didn't know if I wanted to scale, but I knew I wanted to be around other people doing big things. So, and, I figured I could just come in and gain some nuggets here or there, figure some things out, and it'd be worth the investment in Collective Genius. When I got there, I realized I sucked at everything. I stunk at everything. And I was like, wow, man, it was a reality check, really pretty humbling. But then it was like, just the leadership team and their businesses. And I really resonate with Eric Brewer. I think him and I are pretty similar, like personality wise. I think I got better grades in school than he did, but but I feel like we're very similar people, with my parents getting divorced when I was 10 years old and having a really chaotic childhood. I guess I really wanted control of my own destiny. So that's where the first time I left Collective Genius, like, oh my gosh, I need to do so much. So I just started taking a couple things. You yourself say, take the couple 2 or 3 things and go implement them, and then come back next time and learn some more and go implement them. So that's kind of the path I took. But what really clicked here recently is just I did a presentation on this last time, but I had to really get my head right myself I had the spirituality down. I had my almost messed up my relationship, but I got that on solid footing. And then I'm always been a hard worker, but I just didn't have my self-control, my self-worth, and my fitness in the right places. So I really focused on those three things, like getting better at controlling my emotions and not reacting to things, and just let them slide by now, So once I got that right, then I really started diving into, okay, what do I want this to look like? What's the vision? I got into EOS and, laid it all out, got some core values in place, and just started to say, okay, we're going to make this a real business now.
How long into this that it got to that point where you were, you're 2 years in, 3 years in the CG now, and you're just now getting to that point at when? A year ago?
Yeah. So first year in CG, I think I did 44 deals or something first year in, and then we did 50 the next year or two. And then last year we did 94, and this year we'll do 120 plus. So that's kind of the progression. But what really helped me double was figuring out the hiring process and predictive index and all that kind of stuff, and then really hiring the right people, right personalities, the right fits with the right intelligence, and putting them in the right seats on the bus. And so now I have a really great team where we just hired a second lead manager. So we have 2 lead managers, 2 acquisition home buying specialists. I call them full-time TC, project manager now, and an EA / bookkeeper / I have another guy that does niche list marketing out of it. He literally handwrites the letters out, or the addresses on the envelopes out every week. So he does all the probate, inherited, foreclosure, divorces, evictions, all that kind of stuff in-house.
So let me get this right. You continue to grow year over year. You joined CG with 3 employees. Now you're at 10 plus. You go from, roughly 30 some odd deals a year to you'll do over 100 this year. Your revenue is tripling based upon what I see here. There, everything that you mentioned there, it sounds like the true fundamentals that you get from each one of our meetings. What's the difference? Like, hearing your story, not everyone is able to do that in a 4-year time frame. Not everybody wants to do that. Why do you think that, what's the secret for you, the success that you had to get to that point? Because not everybody can come in and have that discipline and have that transformation, not only, which we'll get to in a bit, is not just from a professional standpoint, but also personal.
Yeah, that's a good question. I love to work. My kids are pretty much, like, 3 of them are out of the house. My daughter's getting married here in 3 weeks from last Sunday. And so I just have one daughter at home now. And my wife works nights, a couple nights a week. So I have a lot of time to work and implement things. And I just decided that I was going to play it all out. Like I said, my self-worth was not right where it needed to be. And I don't know. It's just a weird thing that I just didn't think I deserved to be where I'm at now. And so I got that right. And now, we've been implementing like hardcore Jimmy Vreeland style.
You've referenced Jimmy several times on this, the CG slap. For those that haven't heard or maybe haven't listened to the episode with Jimmy Vreeland, the CG slap is when you come in, you think you're really good at something, and immediately you get slapped in the face because what you thought was really good turns out to be fairly mediocre or just barely average. And that's why you come to groups like this, is to see what is possible and test yourself and push yourself to do more, especially for those that are joining this group. You don't join this group unless you want to continue to grow both personally and professionally. So I want to go back and really hone in on the personal side. I've seen your journey. I've seen your belt-winning presentation on the transformation that you have gone through, the confidence that you've gained, the pounds you have shed, the individual that you've become as a leader, started with you making this decision about personal health. How did that journey start?
Yeah, so I damn near died. So we were on a cruise. We love to travel, so we go on probably 4 1-week vacations a year. We were on a cruise in January of 2024. My first cruise, of course. The first night, I get a steak, and it was underdone, and piece gets lodged in my throat. My wife's a registered nurse, like I said before, and I'm like, I stand up, I can't breathe. I can breathe a little bit, I could talk a little bit, but it was stuck. And I'm looking for a chair to throw myself on. She tries to get behind me and put her arms around me to give me the Heimlich, and she can't get her arms around me. Mm-hmm. And luckily, my brother-in-law has like monkey arms, so he got around me and popped it out. And at that point, I was probably 240 something, just probably 40% body fat. And, it just hit me. I'm like, I'm 50, at that point, what was I, 51? And I'm like, I got to make a change here. I'm going to be dead, literally dead. I was almost died there, but like it literally dead, in the next 15, 20 years. And I want to live as long as I can live for my family, for my kids, for my I don't have a grandkids yet, but I'm looking forward to when we get some, and spend a time with them and just, so I just decided, and I had seen Jeremiah Dalton's transformation, with going with Morrow and Six Pack CEO, but I talked to Jeremiah, and he recommended I talk to Morrow, and so I did, and then I'm like, I'm going to invest in this group and invest in myself, so I did, and got on that journey. I was 240, like I said. Now I'm 175 this morning. I've been probably 180, I'm somewhere between 175 and 185 for over a year now. What's happening is interesting, but so I had a DEXA scan 10 months ago, and I was, I think I was like 185, 180, high at 180s, 188, something like that, and I was 20.8% body fat, so I was down half of my body fat, and I just had one here like last month, and I was 178, so 10 pounds difference, but I gained 7 pounds of muscle and lost 17 pounds of fat, so I was 12.7% body fat now, which this is the best shape I've ever been in. I'm 52, almost 53. Yeah. So it's never too late to do, whether it's your business or your body or whatever, it's never too late to start and make things happen and get yourself the way you want to be,
You started with the health side of it. You mentioned, your weight loss. You mentioned to me your stress level and your blood pressure. Yeah. All the things that come with good health. And, you're in your 50s, and, I'm guilty of this, talking about me being in my late 40s and, how I feel old, and, just speaking old instead of speaking youthful, right? Yeah. There's power in words, obviously, and there's power in action. When did you start? I know you watched Jeremiah's presentation, and that motivated you, and I think that's important not to gloss over here, is that you came to a meeting, you saw a personal transformation presentation, not a real estate investing presentation. It was, here's what I looked like before, here's what I look like now. I'm a better father, I'm a better husband, I'm a better business owner because I did these things. And you said, I'm going to take action because that was a great give, and I want to do the same because I feel, I just had this steak incident on a cruise. Yep. What was the time frame on that? Because I think there's a correlation here with your business. How long ago was that?
That was, so February of 2024 is when I started the program, and here we are, what is this? So it's February 5th. So we're 1 year and 18 months in, looks like 18.
You're 18 months in, and you've had your best 2 years in this business ever, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's the there's a lot involved in this, right? It's discipline. It really teaches you discipline. And that's, I started out at 10,000 steps a day, moved up to 12. Now I'm at 15,000 steps every single day. And then just eating, the right stuff. I love pizza, man. So I can cut that out every week. I'll have a pizza, every once in a while. Like it used to be every week, but now I've cut it down maybe every other week or every once a month. But I'm still on a cut, still trying to get abs. I can see them, but I can't, they're not like carved out, So like, just got to get under 10% body fat for that. So I'm still on a cut, but really it just taught me to live with discipline. And once that happened in my health journey, it's also transferred over to the business for sure. And we are so much like, it was chaos. And I hired one employee who we used to work for GE. She was like a collector, and like a high level collector for them. And she started out as a lead manager. Now she's my TC, but she's like, this is chaotic here, and I'm like, I got to get this like dialed in not just for me, but for everybody, like to have, to know what's expected of them, how they're supposed to do stuff, and how they succeed. Right. And we didn't have that in place 2 years ago, but now we do.
So let's go back to, you mentioned the slap that you received in the room that first time where you're like, oh my goodness, I've got a lot of stuff to go back and work on. For those that, are in a peer-to-peer group or are considering it, when you go in and you have, all these things that you want, you need to change or make better, what was the first thing that you chose, and did you see traction on that immediately, or did it take some time? Do you remember back? I know we're going back here 4 years, but what was that?
I think it was like really tracking. Like I have good books, but I didn't have good KPI tracking like on the daily of where I'm spending my marketing dollars and what return those were getting, and and what was my monthly budget? So where should I spend the money? So like I would just spend whatever here, there, and just, we're getting deals, so everything's okay, right? Sales covers all sins. But like I really got dialed in on, okay, we're going to do, and I've never liked outbound texting. So we got out of that and mainly focused on inbound direct mail. And pay-per-click. I've been doing pay-per-click really well for pretty much a decade now. So, but now we're doing cold calling and TV as well. But just tracking the numbers down and understanding, where the deals are coming from. What's our average profit per deal? What's our average? How many leads does it take to get a deal? Like, what's our cost per lead? Like all these different numbers that you need to know and understand so you know where to allocate your resources. I was just not managing that properly. So I think that was the very first takeaway that I started implementing.
I'm so glad to hear that, because if I look at any small business, that is usually the number one thing that I see on my side, is that, they're just not tracking the metrics that make the most sense to their business. They're just going, you know what, I'm going to invest more in my business. I'm going to invest more, but you don't know if you're investing it in marketing that makes sense. You maybe just, might as well just set that money on fire. So I'm glad to hear that was the first piece. Now this comes in waves. So you feel like you've got that in order. What was the second piece of business that you had to get figured out in order to continue to make the business less chaotic?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a little chaotic. I mean, once you go to 100, get to 100 score deals, you get 10 people. It's a little different chaos, but yeah. So the second thing, I think, was just different list providers and getting the right data in place. So we have organic and 80/20 data that we buy. Some people ask me why I do that. Well, like right now, the lists are different by like 50% of the names. So like half the names on organic aren't on 80/20 and vice versa. So like I'm getting 50% clean names that other people that are, aren't getting probably. So Right now we have both. Some are performing better than others this year, but we'll see what happens by the end of the year. But I think the data providers, and then also like just getting, like I started 2 years ago with Amanda Dean as a CSO, Chief Sharper Officer or whatever, that helped me on the operational side because I like to focus on sales and marketing side, and she's really helped me too.
So that's interesting. You go KPIs, then you move into data.
Yeah.
And now you're into the actual operations piece, which generally, especially where you're at, you make sense because you went from 3 to 10 employees in a couple year time frame, especially over the last 2 years. Now you need to make sure that you've hired these people. There's right butts, right seats. Now you're going to need to make sure that they systematically understand what their duties are on a daily basis, so you can be the most efficient and productive as you possibly can. Give me a little bit about how that process works. You bring in Sharper, who has done a ton of implementations for real estate investors of employee operating systems. I know that's a buzzword. Systems and processes. Systems and processes. It's always a buzzword. When I hear people that want to come into the group think, I need help with systems and processes, but they have no clue what it means. They just heard it. Mm-hmm. What has Amanda done for you that has helped you make, like you said, things are different today than they were before because you're doing 100 plus transactions now and with 10 employees. But what has she come in from the beginning and helped you with, set the framework for your business?
I mean, just so much, man. Like just hiring the right people and, using predictive index to do that, and, just how to manage them. I wasn't self-admittedly not the greatest manager, right? I'm just like, how hard can it be? Let's just do this. And, more action taker versus sitting back and really thinking about what these people should be doing on a daily basis, how I'm going to manage them, what's their KPIs, all this kind of stuff. And then what should I expect from them? And she's been around for 20 or some years. I don't want to make her too old, so it kills me, but
just when you say that, Drew, cover your mouth.
I had a meeting with her this morning. I think she said 20 years of experience, but like just in the operational side. And, when I started with her, I didn't even have a lead manager in place. And that really started, because you spend the money and you're not tracking where the lead, you are tracking, we're making this return on this investment, but what's happening in every single lead? Where's the leads going? Like, how many are you contacting? How many, how many appointments are you setting off that? How many are you not contacting? How many are you, how many appointments get canceled? What percentages, all these things, and then figure out, like, I really didn't know how many leads we needed until Amanda came on and, basically said, okay, these are the things. Like you get a lead in, you contact X percent of them, X percent of those are qualified, X percent of those go to an appointment, X percent of those appointments get attended. And after the attended appointments, you make offers at X percent of those, and then you close at X rate, and then X percent of those after you get them under contract fall out. So there's a lot of fallout. There's a lot of holes in this whole process of lead management and acquisitions that, if you're not watching it, you don't know where your money's going or where you need to improve. So that's what really helped.
It's the old leaky bucket,
Yeah.
I think maybe 5-6 years ago, we had a gentleman wrote the book, Your Business is a Leaky Bucket, Howard Shore. And I just remember everybody in that room going, that's me. Yep, that's me. That's me. Especially from the management side. And so I want to focus on that piece because you just mentioned earlier that you're like a lot of entrepreneurs. Hiring people and managing them is not why you necessarily got into this business, but you're there now. In order to scale, you're going to have to learn how to be more of a leader versus just a doer. I'm sure it's not been easy, but for those that are listening to this right now that are struggling with management as they've scaled up their staff, what has been the key to continuing to get better at it in this time frame?
I think, so what really, like I said earlier, I really respect Eric Brewer and his leadership style and his journey and everything he's, I've seen him grow as a leader in Facebook and stuff, all his journey. But so earlier this year, like we've done so much in the last 6 months that it's like people think I'm crazy, I think. But essentially, Joe Cipollini and Benmont had this thing at Eric's office. It's Better Boss Academy or something it was called. And I decided to take my whole team there this year, just because he's doing big business, right? And I just wanted to get dialed in, like, okay, how's he run it? What's their meeting structure, cadences, and how do their acquisitions? My acquisitions guys went on ride-alongs, and Dispo got to talk to Dispo, and TC got to talk to TC. So just elevating my whole team and seeing what they do and how they run their business. Man, I came back and boom, we got a monitor in the office now showing how many, how many leads came in this week, how many appointments are set, how many offers are made, all that kind of stuff's in our office now. And then really developed meeting structure through Asana, and now we have a daily huddle every day. I mean, we were having them sporadically, but I wasn't really dedicated to it, but that's made a huge difference. It's just, having the daily huddle where we go through, we start everything with what are you grateful for and excited about, and then we look at the daily KPIs, like how many leads came in, how many we contacted, how many were qualified, how many appointments were set, how many appointments got rescheduled, how many appointments got canceled, how many offers were made, our appointments attended, how many offers were made, how many contracts did we get, and what's the profitability of those contracts. So we look at all that, and then we have another spreadsheet or sheet that tracks every single acquisition person individually, so I can see, okay, they want an X number of appointments. I want them to make offers at 80% of all appointments. Should be higher than that, and it is. Like right now, we're 92% or something like that, offers made at appointments. And then, what's their close rate by individual? So I can, and then also what does each home buying specialist contribute to the deal volume and the deal profitability? So like, what's their average profit per deal by acquisition rep? What's their, conversion rate? And then what are they, out of all the deals we're doing this year, like what's their percentage of the number, how many deals are they bringing in? It really, so 2 months ago, I got really lucky. I was looking for another home buying specialist, and a guy, an acquisition agent that used to work out in Vegas for a CG member out in Vegas, happened to move into Northeast Ohio and hit me up and so I hired him. He's 2 months in. He's already got like 14 deals locked up. So that's helpful. Like, just, I think when you take action and you get momentum, and then things just start falling into weird stuff happens, right? Like, who expects a guy from Vegas to apply for a home buying specialist job that's already done it for a couple of years for some other CG member? It's like, okay.
You're doing the work. You're putting the action out there, and things fall into your lap. You make your luck. That's ultimately what you're describing there. I want to make sure that you answered the question with a bunch of things that you are now tracking.
Yep.
And the question was related to the management as a hustler to switching to leader. And the first thing, I don't want to gloss over, the first thing you said was we took action and we went to someone's office that I find that I can relate with, because I know they're doing big business, quadruple what I'm doing. So I know if I can learn from them through this will help me. If I go to their office, this will help me be a better leader. And you answered it then with a bunch of ways that they showed you how to be a better leader of tracking these things. So now every day you have, a predictable cadence that they expect that you're going to hold them accountable to, right? Part of leadership is holding people accountable. So I just didn't want to gloss over that part, because that is ultimately, you took the right action, because the best way to learn how to be better at that is to mirror those that you find yourself that you have some similarities to, that you want to be like, and you just say, what are you doing? In your particular case, you took even more action, and you got in the car and drove to York to see what their team, how they operate, to which I commend you. I think that, I know that when I talk to people that are looking to join this community, I always say, if you just put in the effort, everything that you have challenges with can be solved with one phone call, one text, one office visit, everything is there that you need. You took action and did that. Now, my follow-up question is, do you enjoy it more today than you did probably when you first started this leadership journey?
I definitely do. Like, I look forward to our meetings. Quite honestly, to be straight up, like, I thought they were a waste. Like, I could get more done if I wasn't having these meetings, right? And so, but like, just having, like you said, holding everybody accountable. Everybody's got to report their numbers every single day, and they know I'm watching, right? And so, and not only that, but everybody else is in this room, so they don't want to come in this room and report their numbers that are bad. They don't, like, and they feel like, you can sense it, you can feel it if they have a bad off day, and it's like, all right, well, let's just reset and move on to today, and see what we can get. But like last week, I was out of town, but our lead flow was down a little bit. It picked up towards the end of the week, and our lead manager had like days where 2 or 3 appointments were set, and then she had a 7 pop on Friday. So like, just knowing, and I had a couple meetings last week while I was on the road with them, but like, just them knowing, that we're looking at what we're looking at every day, and they got to do it in front of everybody else, just elevates everybody's performance, especially acquisitions. Like, nobody, especially in an acquisitions role, like, they're competitive people, right? And emotional people. So they really want to not be at the bottom of the board. Now I have 2. I occasionally still go on an appointment, like on a referral that comes in or something, but I don't go on very many anymore.
There is the win, right? Like, people come to into these rooms because they want to get out of the mundane task. They want to jump into leadership, and then they get to leadership and they go, this is hard. I'm really good at sales, but I'm not necessarily good at leading. That's why you come into rooms like this, to be around other people that are not necessarily perfect, but can show you the way of how and being better at it. You have to manage people. That's the reality of this. Or you have to be good enough to recruit someone that's really good at it, because you've just made the decision that you're not going to be a direct manager. Not probably the route I would go, but it is an option for those, because at some point you're going to have to lead. You're going to have to lead that executive if you hire an executive to do that. So you're going to have to learn how to lead if scaling a business, as any entrepreneur, is important to you. If that's the case, then you're going to have to take that step. And the great thing is, there's a lot of really good businesses and a lot of good business leaders out there that you can network with, including, over 500 of them within the Collective Genius. And there's obviously different levels, and people can meet you where you're at that given time. But, seeing, your progress, when we first talked, I remember, you weren't the normal, consult that I was having. The normal consult I was having back in 21 and 22 were younger investors that, were looking to grow a team because they were doing everything themselves, and, they were looking to move on up. I couldn't tell if you wanted to scale. I knew you wanted to do more, but to see you where you are today is completely different than the person that I talked to 4 years ago. And I mean that as a total compliment, because you can see you have clear vision. And more importantly, which most people don't do, they don't enjoy the process of building a team and meeting with them on a daily basis. I can tell you enjoy it just based upon this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm really, as I got into my 50s, I really want to just be the best I can be in all different areas of my life, whether that's physically, as a business leader, as a husband, as a father, as a son, as a Christian. Like, the list just keeps going on and on. And people always talk about balance, like, how do you balance this and that? And I think you got to try to be at a high level on all those things to be balanced. And that doesn't mean spending equal amounts of time on each one of those things. It means, like, doing the best you can on each one of those things. So, like, I start my day every day. Like, I think for me, at least, like, my faith is a huge foundation in all this. And so I made a commitment 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, to put God first every day. So I read 3 chapters of the Bible every single morning. And then Monday through Friday, I take the weekend off, but we go to church on Sunday. And then, just constantly praying for, my family and for my business and for other people in this business. And, it just, God's my firm foundation on that. And then, then you look at, okay, your relationship, because if your relationship's bad, like, you can't do you can't do this business. You can't think of anything else if you're having problems in the relationship like that. It's a huge anchor. If you don't, you got to have the right relationship. And then really like growth orientation and trying to be better every day. That's one of our core values is excellence, is be better today or tomorrow than you are today. And so we just keep trying to grow and grow and grow. I have very little patience, but I've learned to become more patient over time because things just don't happen overnight. And if you just keep doing the same thing, if you do the right things consistently over and over again, whether it's, walking the steps or eating the right foods or doing the right meetings or sending the right marketing out or whatever it is, you'll have success. So, and I think I got a little spoiled in like the direct marketing business because, we place an ad, you place an ad to now and then boom, orders come in and then you get paid, right?
Right.
It was credit card based, but this business is a little different. Obviously there's so many ways things fall out. We got I think we have 22 flips going and like 27 contracts right now. So like we got a lot going on,
Right.
On the daily. And then, we got probates that unexpected liens and this issue. It's like overcoming issues. And as you grow and become more excellent in every area of your life, like what used to be a big deal or a big issue is now like nothing to you. It's like, okay, that's simple. And so you just become able to overcome things. And I think the better you are at overcoming the big, even as you grow and overcome bigger things, then you start making more money. As if you're able to overcome huge obstacles or huge problems or huge issues, then, then I think the universe, God, whoever, like gives you more, like you deserve more at that point. So,
Earned it. Right?
yeah, you've earned it.
Truly,
So you got to grow to earn it. Yeah.
So I was going to ask you what's, personally working for you right now, because I wanted to get a personal and professional based upon, your growth. But you just gave me what's working for you on the personal side, this routine that you have, your faith as your foundation. You gave that to me before I even got a chance to answer it or ask it. I love it. There's so much good. If you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, just if you look at the most successful people, and I'm blessed to have spent 7 years with the most successful in this industry, being, a part of this community and some that I get to call friends. Look at all of the success leaves breadcrumbs. And if you look at them all, they all have, for the most part, almost all of them have some type of winning formula, which includes a daily routine, usually getting up early, usually having a foundation of faith, usually, understanding patience and that everything in this business, if done the right way, will pay off in the long term. Maybe not short term, but in the long term. That's a fantastic answer to a question I hadn't even got to. So thank you. The follow-up would be, as a give to the listeners that are real estate investors across the United States, and some that, obviously we have some that are outside of the country as well. What's working for you right now that you're most excited for in your business? You said you had 27 flips going, you got 27 contracts. What are you the most excited about? What's working right now for you?
I think, so just another tip here. Like when I hired a second home buying specialist, it did 2 things. It really takes the pressure off if you're just operating with one, right? It takes the pressure off that one person because the whole company's on their back, they feel like. And also simultaneously creates competition, which is a good thing if you run this right. But it also, I think I froze up. So the not only creating competition and also like, taking the pressure off, it allows you to get out to appointments faster. And we've really noticed that, because if you have only one acquisition, you're scheduling out, they can go on 3 appointments a day. If you have a decent amount of marketing, you're scheduling out 3-4 days out. And so, another one of our core values is action. And that is, we take urgent, immediate action because speed kills the competition. And it does. Like, if you go out, if we have 2 acquisitions, we're always out within 24 to 48 hours max. And I've noticed a real huge uptick. Like, our conversion rates right now, last month was upper 20s, and the month before that was like low 30s on offers to contract. So, like, that's way higher. It used to be low 20s, if that, So just sometimes you're afraid to pull the trigger because it's an additional cost, right? But sometimes you just got to pull the trigger and make things happen. I happen to be fortunate that my onboarding wasn't very long for my guy, because he already did it for 2 years for somebody else that had a good, system and process in place. But, so he's immediately producing, and it's also just helping our whole business. And same thing's going to happen here with my second lead manager, because my first one, she sets 20 plus appointments a week, just one person. And so now that pressure's off her. She can go down to 15 appointments a week or something. The other person can schedule, is the same at some point, and we'll have 30 appointments a week instead of 20 appointments a week. It's just, and then, man, the scale really creates, like, there's always obstacles and challenges. So, like, you solve one problem. So our front right now in my business, the front end of our house is like dialed in. I'm talking like from lead management to knowing every single KPI number that we can know on where the leads are going and how we're trying to attack those leads and get a hold of the people and put them on drips and all this kind of stuff. And hiring a second home buying specialist. But now last 2 months in a row, we had 17 contracts. So what that does is creates a problem on the backside of the business now, because TC's overwhelmed, and Dispo's overwhelmed. So now I'm jumping in the Dispo side, TC side, to help fill some gaps there, But so it's just a never ending. It's never ending. Like, you gotta know where you're at and know what your needs are and understand where you're going. And like, the next step for me is probably hire a VA that supports, can do admin functions for both TC and Dispo, because our front end's dialed in now. We're doing, like I said, 17, and 14 last 3 months, I think. So,
congrats, man.
Thanks.
If it were easy, everyone would do it. You just gave 50 minutes worth of formula to those that are listening to this. Of, if you're looking to grow and scale, understand that the work is never done. You're always having to pull the vehicle over and do a pit stop. I don't care how fast the car is. At some point, in order for it to go faster, the wheels are going to start falling off. You're going to have to change, fluids and add gas, and maybe have to use fuel additives and things of that nature to wrap up that analogy on the Indy car or the NASCAR, whatever you prefer. You have to, in order to go faster, you're going to have things that fall off. You clearly understand that. That's part of, my goodness, the mental piece of this, of understanding that every day, if you're trying to be better and working towards being better, you understand that there are going to be some things that come down the pike that you're just going to have to be better at tomorrow, because you have a mindset of growth.
Yep.
That last piece that you gave, I don't want to gloss over this piece either. So often I get the question of, hey, Leon, I've got 2 acquisitions. Do you think I should add a third? I've got 1 and I can't make that jump, that leap of faith to go to second. As long as you don't make that leap of faith, the longer you delay that, and obviously you've got to have systems in place to make sure that person is going to have leads or have a process of developing their own leads, you're always going to be limited on how you can grow. You just gave them exactly what they needed to hear from another investor, is that you have to take that leap of faith. You can't double your business with the same people that you have if you've grown significantly over the last few years.
100%. And, the flip side of this is, like, when you look at it, I used to look at things like, okay, that's another X $1,000 a year. Like, don't look at it X $1,000 a year. Like, look at it like X thousands of dollars for the next 3 months, and then you start getting paid back. And then how much more are you going to make after 3 months? So really, if you can bring somebody on board and they need a guaranteed $4,000 or $5,000 a month, whatever it is, like you're looking at a $15,000 thing instead of a $100,000 thing.
Well said.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree with that more. All too often people will get in their head that, oh, this person is 6 figures. Well, you're not giving them 6 figures tomorrow.
Right.
Right. If they're on a $10,000 a month, that's, it's going to cost you, $20,000 probably before you start to see some return. But if they're worth it, you will see that return. And if you're hiring at that level, more than likely you're hiring someone that has experience doing that particular thing. So all good advice there, my friend. If people wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way? I mean, goodness, you've got so many good things on the business side, plus, the transformation. Again, you look fantastic. This transformation that you've made, I can see how much of a difference it's made in your life, not just your business. Obviously, your business has taken off as well. If people wanted to reach out to maybe ask you a few questions or get some inspiration, how would they do that?
Yeah, man. So my cell is 330-936-5091. 330-936-5091, or you can hit me up at rberry, which is BERRY, RBERRY at globalrealestatesolutions.com. Just got to spell it right. It's long.
Yeah, of course. Are you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. You can hit me on Facebook. I have an Instagram, Ryan Berry Official or something it's called.
There you go.
On Instagram. But yeah, man, so I guess what's next is the vision is to scale to, I think we'll do 120 plus this year. I think next year we'll do the goal is 180, and then roughly 220 a month, like 240 the following year. So that 3-year vision is to be 240, 4 million in million profit. That's where I'm trying to hit to. And then also, as I grow and have, the funny thing is like Eric said this before and I didn't believe him, but like once you get a team in place and you're leading that team, like you kind of feel like, what am I supposed to be doing besides leading the team, right? So I'm looking for some other things to do, but so I'm going to do some coaching here. And then like I said, my background was in finance. So we're starting up a investor bookkeepers, it's called. And we're going to help other investors get their books right and how to look at numbers and stuff. Cause most people don't know how to do that.
They do not. I love the vision. I'll have you back on, next year. Let's follow up and see if those, look at where the business has gone to those goals. I also will give this bit of advice because you are sitting in that seat now where a lot of people want to get to. And I can tell you that many conversations with Eric, I think the highest and best use for any leader has gotten to the point where they feel like, man, I've got a great team. I think it's twofold. I think number one, it's to continue to develop your leaders and future leaders within your organization.
Yep.
When I was a regional sales manager, my job was always to find someone that could replace me. If I could find someone to replace me, that means that I'm continuing to move up the ladder, right? So that's one. Number two is to continue to give your team vision. It's not just vision for you, Ryan. It's vision for them. If they see that the business isn't stagnant just on necessarily this one thing, continue to diversify and give them new opportunities to create and see themselves in another position, maybe 3 to 5 years. That is what your job is now, is to create this long-term, continuing to scale beyond just numbers. It's there are a lot of people on your team that are like, hey, I love acquisitions, but I don't want to do this for more than 5 years. Now, where do they go? What's next for them within your organization? That doesn't mean another asset class. Could. That doesn't mean, that you go and do something completely different. It just means that you're always working at how do I lead to get to a point where these people feel like they're being led by someone that can continue to keep their security for them and their family and their career long term.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you got to understand what their goals are and where they want to go and what their growth paths should look like, and then help them achieve that. You know what I mean? And I think that's, if you care enough to understand that about your employees, like barring something, you know, some kind of circumstance where somebody moves out of state or something, I don't see people leave. Like, once you got good people, you got to figure out how to keep them.
No doubt about it.
That's the way to, that's like, because just the turnover and having to retrain and everything, like having people on my team for, you know, several years now, I think most everybody's been here well, some have been here a couple months, but like 2 to 3 years, people, you know, you can just see it click, like things click in your head, and they don't have to come ask you a million questions on how to do something. They just know, or they figure it out, or they've been through it before, or whatever. So that, but then on the flip side is if you show as a leader you care personally about them and what they want to do and what their life goals are, then you figure out a way to help achieve that. Then you become like, you know, I have my lady who's got an 8-year-old kid, and she just needs to work like certain hours, you know, we'll get her kid off the bus. And so we just work out a schedule that worked for her, and the flexibility, like she can't find, where are you going to find that? She cannot find it anywhere. Right. So like, and just being flexible, working with your people, understanding what their goals are and helping them achieve those, man, you'll keep your people way longer.
They'll climb walls for you, man. They'll run through them and climb them at the same time. Ryan, so much good stuff here, man. I'm so happy for you, proud of you, excited for your promotion, you know, into Premier. You deserve it. You know, now into a different room coming up at our next meeting. So excited for you in that. Thank you for joining me on the pod, and I look forward to having a follow-up, because I'm going to hold you accountable to that 200 plus, because you know, that's the goal that you want, right? You've set that goal, and I know you'll accomplish it. So thank you for joining me on the pod today.
I appreciate you having me, man. It's been awesome. And I look forward to doing this again in a year and seeing where we're at.
Let's book it now. I'm excited for it. As I say at the end of these pods, every pod, you know, after an hour here with Ryan, obviously you can see there's value in the room that he's received and a ton of value that he's given. Clearly, he's come in with the right mindset of connecting and giving value. He's won multiple belts at the select level, now being promoted into the next level. And so regardless of where you're at this point, if you'd like to be in the room with members like Ryan Berry, then you know how to get to us. It's explorecg.com. Once you go there, there's an application. Fill that out. You get an opportunity to talk to one of us on this side. And if it's a good fit, great. We'll talk about next step. If it's not, it's okay. We'll talk about what it looks like maybe in the future. We'll try to help you out as much as we can. I enjoy doing this every single week. I look forward to it. And hopefully you will check out that website at explorecg.com. And if you've missed any of our episodes of our podcast, you can always find those at thecgpodcast.com. Another great episode, Ryan. Thank you again for your time. We will see you next week on the Collective Genius Podcast.
Are you ready to scale your real estate business? Visit thecollectivegenius.com, where real estate investors come to scale. Subscribe to the Collective Genius Podcast and hit the bell icon to be notified when our next episode releases. And thanks for listening.